Hi, everybody. Welcome to Tuesday. I have no idea what date it is. I think it's Tuesday. It's just another magical day in the universe. And so many energies are just pouring and so many activations. I hope that everybody is feeling them. So we have Ganesha all dressed up in his extremely handsome tuxedo tonight. Um, guiding us, leading us, protecting us, sparkling us. I'm so glad and grateful that I've done this little dive into Ganesha and the energies that he stands for and works with, because it just makes handling what we're going through right now a lot easier and I won't say understandable, because nobody knows what's happening, really. We are just doing it and we're just shining. And if I have anything to say to us, is just shine. We don't have to do very much else. Anything else is actually a bonus that we do in life. It is our main mission on the planet at the moment, is to just be here, to be. Hello, beautiful Victor. Thank you so much. Don't you like handsome Ganesha in his very exciting jade, sapphire, and diamond tuxedo? He's looking ever so debonair. So, yeah, big, wonderful energies, changes, uploads. Oh, golly. Yeah. Rescue missions, giving, receiving. I think PG's on an awesome mission, so please go there. I'm doing this very deep dive meditation for 6 days. So we had a major breakthrough on, well, it's difficult because, I work in the morning time. So not yesterday, the day before. So we'll finish off on Wednesday, which I've no doubt is going to be very interesting. So, yeah, so it's like, wow. So we're just doing like 4 hours of meditation, and it's over 400 of us, which is just awesome. Like, yeah, some Hopi Indians, etc. So really wonderful stuff going on. So just the energies are just completely new. So let's just open up this with a beautiful, wonderful hello Ganesha. He's really very special and very alive and well, and just weaving in between, because so many of the elementals and the different energies, that's what I'm standing for right now, as well as the ancients, obviously. And it's not awakening them. It is awakening them, but using that knowledge for something magical. I'm still very clear in the fact that I think we need, and it's even more clear, that we need to do the Oponohono prayer for the indigenous people of the world, wherever we are, because none of us are not guilty, are innocent. If you drink coffee, if you drink tea, if you have sugar, you have been touched by slavery, and it was not a very nice thing. Yay for Europe! Don't know what the heck happened. I still don't know what happened there, but we'll get there. So we just open up and protect the space, and may all this wonderful aroma of love and devotion just fill the universe, fill the energy of the earth. May she just receive it and enjoy it as a holy prayer. I say, I'm just always amazed. I'm really so amazed, especially lately, that if you close your eyes and it's black, and then there's my God. Isn't it just wonderful? Then there's God, and wherever I want to go, I just got to close my eyes. So, let's just clear. Because, whether we like it or not, we were under some serious, I don't like to give it too much attention. we'll leave that to YouTube. They've got more than enough crazy attention out there, and I highly recommend that we don't give it attention, because these are thought forms. We're working huge on a completely different level, and with really like diving into frequency and working with frequency and plasma, which is just what I wanted to do. So thought forms, hopefully sometime soon I will talk about thought forms. That was my teaching, was thought forms and what they look like. And it's just so important, I think even the Bible says we're the helmet of salvation. You have to guard your mind. And the other thing that popped in my mind the other day was, whatever you want to know, just ask. Just be open to asking, and we will receive whatever we want. It's not so complicated. Just for me, it's just be. Just emanate as much energy and love and light as possibly can for myself. Obviously, it's great, and I feel amazing and sparkly, but for the planet. Because we need to really elevate. And sometimes when I see a little bit of what's going on out there, and the comments that people put in chats on other things, it's like, oh my God, where are we going? Are we going anywhere? So we just put out energy. The beautiful little people of Earth. Yeah. Little sheeps. Little sweet sheeps. Sweet sheeps. I love it. Please, if you haven't had a look at PG's, he will be live here tomorrow. Just go and drink your coffee, guys. It's really that simple. He's just saying, go and drink your coffee or your tea or your latte. I'm just shining. I'm just emanating as much and as often as I can. And let's just open and close these. Open. To receiving beautiful, beautiful energies, and put a beautiful golden diamond ring of purest protection, bringing in the help of the Divine Mother, the Divine Father, the Holy Angels, the Ascended Masters of all religions. We give thanks. I did bring in the angels, the archangels, saints, gurus, all sorts of wonderful people, and pure hearts. And let us just open our hearts, open our crown chakra, open our base chakra to this incredible flow. And don't close it, guys. It's open. Enjoy the ride. Oh no, I'm busy, my love. We'll just take you for a moment. Hello, my sweetheart. Can I phone you a little later? We're back. That was my beautiful boy. I haven't seen, it seems like so long, but it's not so long. Time is like on its own capsule. So Henny, beautiful, and the energies have just started, guys. A lot of heat going on. PG and I are very horny. Last night was insane. My bed was like vibrating with red hot, like passion, but just like hang in there, guys. It's actually the rising of the Kundalini. So try to use that energy and push it further up. That's why thank God for the Hindus, they developed many beautiful practices. And so did the Chinese. Qigong is also really, really wonderful. So the Kundalini is rising. So if you're feeling hot, that's usually, and then of course, then there's the cold. The cold is when you receive a lot of energy from the ethers, and it's like really. So there's two different energies that we're working. Well, there's a lot. Oh my God, there's so many energies. But we've been saying this. I've been saying this for a while. They just like been pouring in the last month. I think we are 8/8, 9/11. They're all special dates. Every day is special, and right now there's like really huge special stuff going on. So just don't get stuck in rabbit holes too much, because you're wasting every moment that you get stuck down there or in there. You're creating thought forms which you're giving. Every thought forms you have is you're empowering them. You're giving them more and more life. So I'll just share yesterday. So I don't know if you've done it. Is whatever thoughts, you know that whole thing of just sit and be still and think, let the thoughts go. And then when you see the thoughts, start to give them a shape and a color. Give them actually like a geometry, a vibration, and a color. And it changes your attitude to your thoughts very quickly. So the more, and obviously the more beautiful thoughts that you have, the more they're empowered. And there's so much opening out there right now. All these hundreds and thousands and millions and trillions and billions of little elementals, which have just been pouring onto the planet to help us to clean all these energies and these thoughts that we have. So whether you're tuned into them or not, doesn't really matter. They're still working. So some of us are really pushing them out for the planet. So yeah, try not to waste too many minutes away from pouring energy, because that's really the only thing that we're meant to do on the planet. Is just, remember that little song Jesus once, I think, Shane Bliss, Kurt Cobain. Jesus wants me for a sunbeam to shine for him all day. Yeah. Yeah. Is it coming in and out? Cannot make anything out with saying at the moment. Oh, that's so interesting. Huh. Huh. Interesting. I suppose we're all just meant to hear what we're meant to hear. So we have Ganesha, who is just protecting us. These ancient sites are waking up. I wanted to go into, I had a really interesting day today, which was just so out of it for me. It was just like a normal day for everybody. I had two young children, they're 6 and 9, that I was babysitting because their mom is working and they're on school break here at the moment. And it was just kind of such fun. And my place is really tiny. So we kept going out, and even Yuki got an upgrade because they just played and played. Yes, you did. And he was laughing, and it was just so wonderful to have that kind of normal type day, because I haven't had one of those for a few years. So, okay, I'm so glad it's working fine. So my glasses are so steamed up. I'm so hot, and I've got the windows open. I think it's just like Maggie. Let's see if I can remember any of this, because it was like just so huge yesterday. I think it came because somebody posted the Ho'oponopono prayer and said for anybody that needed it, and I will post it a bit later, because I only finish a bit later tonight. And I kind of tuned into it because we always need it. It's always something it's just such a beautiful prayer and energy. And when she goes through it, and she said it's just such a powerful mantra. The way that she actually brought it across was very special. Yeah. So it's it's also in the receiver and the giver as well. And I was just so overwhelmed with that we should be saying this for all the ancient cultures of the planet, and how that would just elevate everybody, those that are receiving it and those that are saying it. It's time. It's time to say sorry and make peace. Just, you don't have to do, this is like writing those letters to your parents or those that have harmed you and hurt you in your life. You don't have to give it to them. You just do this quietly in yourself, but you do it. It's about doing the work. So, and that, of course, led me back into Africa again, and how that culture was, I've been doing so many dives on that, how it was so destructive. I've just found a whole new pair of glasses. Where did they come from? Okay. The kids found them. They wanted to, actually, I remember now, they wanted to put your glasses on Yuki. Yuki had a real chirpy time today. So back to it. Let's see if we can work our way a little bit through Africa, and what a magnificent kingdom Africa was. Okay. We're not even thinking about Egypt now, because when people think of Africa, the only thing that comes to, well, there are two things that come to mind for most people in the world, which is Egypt, and they think of Tutankhamun and the gold. And that was all that we were taught. If I think about it in school, I obviously had different education. Well, I didn't. People just left the books around for us to read. Nobody put anything onto us. And I always remember that they invented, we were told how smart they were, besides doing everything with the chisel, that they invented the shadoof. The shadoof, I just love that word. The shadoof was an irrigation system, which was basically a bucket on a pulley, so you could lift up your water and spin it around and water the other side. I mean, that was what the Egyptians, that's what we were taught. Other than that, not very much else. I don't even think they got to Tutankhamun, but that they mummied and that they built pyramids, and that was about all. They wrote in hieroglyphics and the shadoof. But what people tend to forget is that Egypt was like built around the Nile. And the Nile actually doesn't belong to Egypt. Egypt, the Nile is just the end of. So I'm asking you just to think a little bit, because it's not difficult to actually just, because we've all been brainwashed. And I started uncovering a lot of this in 2016, 2017. And I just kept coming up with a lot of things that said they're going to make it so difficult that it's going to be impossible for anybody to uncover. But hey, it is. It's uncovering, and we're not having, these dark, lost civilizations anymore. So there was this thriving economy up and down the Nile, from the Congo, where I think the waters come and then they flood into Egypt. And if you remember, somewhere along the line, the Nomo had come. I'm still not quite sure where they were. It was somewhere with the floods, and it was definitely around about, I could be wrong. Obviously, I could be wrong. Could be about 12 to 15,000 BC. All the dates are wrong. And the dates definitely need to be looked at a little better. And all these cultures in Africa, the ones that have really kept it the most, but we're not going to get their secrets because they're not going to tell us, are the Dogon. So it's really sad now. Some people are like telling everything because they're coating their palms with gold with a little bit of money, but they don't know the secrets. The elders have kept them. So that's one that's pretty much kept intact, but all the way through all the cultures. There was this great flood somewhere, and then there were the golden beings which came to China and taught them how to do agriculture. Because as we saw yesterday, we were looking at some cave paintings, and Grace puts them up beautifully, which is just always so interesting how all over the world they've got those similar, some very similar, same, not even similar, the same glyphs in them. But if you look at the older paintings, there were definitely beings coming down, but the people were always hunting. So their people were generally I think, I could be wrong, nomadic and hunter-gatherers, and they were visited, all cultures everywhere was visited by somebody from somewhere, very often Sirius, but it was the Pleiades as well, and mainly those two. And they came and they taught pretty much the same thing to everybody, give or take slightly different things. But there was metallurgy, there was agriculture, how they, especially you can see it in China if you don't just listen to the propaganda and you look at their beautiful countryside and how they've actually grown in those incredible steps. Have a great day, Victor. Thank you so much. Take a call and have a magical time. As I say, weaving, jewelry making, basketry, so agriculture, planting things. So these created civilizations. Why Europe didn't get it, I still don't know. I think Greece got a little bit. And obviously there was a lot of trade going on between Greece and the Mediterranean and Egypt. But a lot of people, yes, they would go further down Africa, which was absolutely thriving in culture, in architecture. The architecture, there's still a lot is left. And these are not forgotten. These are where the people lived. They created the most. Oh, awesome. That's thanks so much, Heaney. Appreciate it, love. Enjoy your meditation. Lots of extra meditation Zoom for you, love. Yeah. Extra. I know you've been doing that one for a long time. So boom, may it bear some amazing fruit for right now. So, yeah, there were some incredible civilizations along the Nile and in Africa. From Ethiopia through to Carthage, which was like annihilated by the Romans. Carthage had this incredible guy called Hannibal, who actually even went through the Alps on elephants. But when Rome actually came with a great force, they actually burnt their libraries. And we were talking about it before, they salted the earth so that they couldn't grow food anymore. So that like messed up their agriculture. And then we had Nigeria, which is, you hear about it's the Benin, the brass work. So these guys here were all doing like working with iron and working with bronze and working with copper long before Europe had even thought of doing it. Europe was still like just trying to heat their caves, you know. So we're talking about 1000. I like to just call it BC, so I hope everybody understands, before the Common Era, to 300 was AD CE. Nigeria, they were called Nok, and they have the Benin sculptures, which were raided by the French, but we're not going to go into the raiding too much now. We'll leave that for the end. But and why? I don't. Well, it kind of makes sense. So they were incredibly. They did the most beautiful art, incredible farming. Everybody had food. They had lively commerce. There was trade going on. There was agriculture. They made weapons, but they weren't a. The whole of Africa was more diplomatic society. They rather wanted to make agreements with people, which was quite interesting because it was with Ethiopia that they actually made an agreement with the Pope. I think it was in and they actually really so um, not for any other reason except that it was like commerce. Yeah, not money, money, money. Just was diplomatic. Yeah. Interesting that the Ethiopians adopted Christianity before the Westerners adopted Christianity. They adopted it in the 4th century. So it hadn't really fully been adopted by Rome yet, by the West. But that's another thing because there's something there with Solomon and Queen of Sheba and the Ethiopians. It's very bitty because most of this stuff has been so destroyed over the last few hundred years, not very long, just since the slave trade, the last few hundred years, the Great Atlantic slave trade. I closed my eyes and I saw something fabulous. Come back, come back, come back, come back. Doesn't matter. Then you had the Kushites, who were also from 600 BC to 300 CE. They worked hugely with iron. They built pyramids. They have thousands. If you look in Africa, there are thousands of pyramids. Not as elaborate as the ones in Egypt. I think Egypt had more than, I'm not quite sure where Thoth comes into this all, but he does, and we'll get to that bottom level of it when it's meant to be. I mean, I've had my own personal things and opened up a lot, but we'll get to that at some time, exactly where he comes into this. They were engineers, all of Africa, and even in the what we call the Dark Ages, there were so many African settlements in Europe. As I mentioned, I don't have it right now, the name. They call them the Black Danish and the White Danish. Even Denmark was like, I was thinking, it's actually got me almost to the point where I want to go and read Shakespeare again, with a different, see what he's really talking about. There was this great whiteout in Europe because there were so many regal houses in Europe that were Moorish. Yeah, I know that we've got like these 3 or 4 crests in Germany which are definitely black. Yeah, why they took it away? Yeah. So for some reason, and I don't know why, there was still the desert then. As I said yesterday, if you look at that, those in Algeria, that over 1,500 incredible rock paintings. Hey, Christine, beautiful. How are you? Welcome, welcome. we're just wading our way through Africa and seeing what a wonderful place it was. Sort of from, let's just keep it simple, from 1500 BC to 300, well, up until actually the 14th, 15th century, when it was like really 16th century. Yeah, so that's the 1500s. Just quite briefly, the history of Africa and what incredible engineers up and down the Nile like really fed them. And as if you know, we've spoken about the Nomo and the Syrians and people from other visitations, other planets that have come down to actually give instructions to the people on Earth to civilize them with whatever that, don't like that word, but to teach them agriculture and metalwork, etc. Why it didn't happen so much with the Abrahamic religion and why it didn't happen so much in Europe, I'm still like digging away. So because there's a huge problem, a big loophole, a big key to what happened. Whether, of course, we will find it, but at the moment, I'm just trying to put this out to the collective out there. And as I said, to do that Ho'oponopono prayer. This is not like, don't get into too much guilt or anything, just like get into this huge space of light, love, and compassion. Because we all have blood on our hands. And I could say I don't. But yeah, we all have blood on our hands. As I said, if you drink coffee or you eat chocolate or you eat sugar, you've got blood on, you've got like slave blood on your hands. For the West, and for me, it's just my thing. I think that Greece started to corrupt a lot. Plato, Pythagoras, they never told us, nor did Leonardo da Vinci tell us that he went to Egypt. This has only just recently come out. And I think many of us have been interested in these people, but they didn't. I mean, Pythagoras came up with the Pythagorean triangle, and I know that he said that God is in the numbers, and he had this religion on geometry, and he was a strict vegetarian, and eventually he killed himself with hemlock. But later on, when we started to uncover that he'd spent 20 years in Egypt, that no wonder he was like a little obsessed with triangles if you're looking out your window and looking at the pyramids every day for 20 years. So still debatable who actually built the pyramids. Obviously, we know it wasn't slaves. It could have really just been the Kushites from further down Africa who came up with amazing technology and definitely had vibration technology because they were taught this. And they were taught to venerate the ancestors. They were taught to plot around the stars, to plant around the stars, to do their sacred masks and their dances, which would connect them to the stars, to work with the drumming, which there are different forms of drumming, which would connect with the ancestors. And drumming is amazing that it actually can go really far out. You know, you can hear the drumming, whatever's going on, from quite a long distance. Oh yeah, we were talking about, if you look at that Algerian thing, it's in four very clear dynasties. So the rock paintings are from a time when the Sahara was green. I must have a look at that really deeply, but I have to see where I can get those images, because I do think that, I mean, Atlantis wasn't just one place. Atlantis was a whole energy that was going around. But it got corrupted. Yeah. So we're trying not to talk about corruption now. We're trying to talk about this incredible trade, the camels that were going across onto the Silk Road. So Africa was very dominated by their own very special connection with God, the African people, which were kings, which there was so much gold there, guys. When I say that the streets literally ran with gold, that they had cities which they were lit at night with lights, with lamps, with palm oil. They had baths, they had running water systems. They had this incredible trade, commerce, which was very much between the Islamic people and the African people, and the Chinese, and of course the Indians. So they were also great seafarers. But they had this great trade, and that was the golden age of Islam and of India. Along that route to China, there were these incredible learning centers and mosques that were just absolutely breathtaking. So, for some reason, UNESCO and everybody decided to hide this from us for a long time. Ghana, which was like, that's what actually, I want to cry. It was started, in South Africa, I had there was this little guy that sold stationery, and I would always go to him first to see if he had stationery and tools and things before I went to the bigger places, because I just wanted to support him. And he spoke French, and I just assumed, I used to call him Mr. Congo. I just assumed he was from the Congo, because we have everybody in South Africa. And one day he very sweet, was Muslimish, but it's like so sweet. And his kids would like come and help on a Friday. And he said to me one day, no, he's not actually, but such a whiz at computers. I mean, he was just so together. And always giving me presents, and I love being there. And he said, no, he's not from the Congo, he's from Ghana. And I said, where's Ghana? I'm South African, guys. And I was so horrified and humiliated. And I thought, I don't know where Ghana is. I don't even know if I've ever really heard of Ghana. And then I started this, I got this like a kid's book on different like African places, which was just so amazing. And, you just got to put it out there, what you need. And then there are like 53 countries in Africa. And that was in 2016, 2017, 2018. And I just said, you can't just like ignore these people. You can't just forget about them. There's only like 160 odd countries in the world. So that's like quite a big chunk, 53 countries in Africa. Anyway, Africa is definitely rising. So we'll talk, and coming back to differently. Yeah, I mean, she's been portrayed just so, look, if you're interested, but look more at your side where you are. As I've said for a long time, that you have sacred sites. You ensure that you just walk out of your house and you're pretty much on sacred land, or which was sacred land. So maybe pour water in like gratitude and apologies. What's the word? I don't like those repentance words. Just in sacredness, in beauty to our beautiful planet Earth. Yeah. Yeah. During the Middle Ages, while Europe was just kind of, they had come and like got some things to build the temple, the churches, but that's also another slightly different story. These people were brilliant. They were sovereign powerful architects, mathematicians, yeah, clothing, jewelers. They were definitely not gatherers, hunter-gatherers, as they've been portrayed for so long. We've been brainwashed. I mean, they've also had their whole culture removed from them. And pretty much everybody got sucked into this big lie. Yeah? I mean, we hear things that the Pope has the Black Madonna, and now we're starting to know why, He's still being reverent to it. Now, anyway, don't get too angry about it. It's just to know and say, okay, let's just sing the Ho'oponopono prayer, which is, I'm sorry, please forgive me. I always forget the fourth one. It's always so complicated. I love you. No, I'm sorry, please forgive me. Always forget the one. I love you. Always forget one. So if anybody knows that, okay. So Ghana in the 8th century, I've read it so over and over from different sources that he was so rich that when he traveled, he actually just shattered the whole economy because he had so much gold. Yeah. And then, of course, there was Mali, which is where the Dogon people come from, also full of gold, architecture. There was this route from Africa, from Mali to Mecca. And then aromatherapy oils were discovered by, I can't remember his name now, but he was also a Muslim guy during that time. Yeah. So it was such a hub of mathematics and medicine, and they were doing operations. They were prostheses from the Egyptians. But let's try to take the Egyptians out of this scenario a little bit and just look at everybody else that was, and this whole thriving Africa, which was huge. Okay. They had slightly different names. And they all had these slightly different religions, but it never became a war. There was very little dominance in Africa. It was more about diplomacy. So when as it was mainly North African and Islamic and Chinese as well. So they would trade, and they have found so much pottery of Chinese pottery, but we haven't been told about this. Okay, so what have we been told? Okay, so this thrived for thousands and thousands of years. I know that there was a lot that came over to Europe, and I know that during the Spanish Inquisition, that there were lots of that was known for a long time, that there were a lot of Moorish people in Spain and Jewish people, and it just made sense. You have to just look at a map and you can see, well, they just have to jump onto the rock of Gibraltar and then jump over to Spain, and they're there. Africa is not very far. We just don't look at a map. We all gullibly just accept what the media is telling us. So just stop, look at a map, whatever interests you. Yeah, this obviously does interest me. And that they left during the Spanish Inquisition and obviously went back to Africa. There's very, very big, huge magic. Is from both the jinns which is why it is kind of very forbidden in Islam, in Mecca, the Islamic countries, or in Dubai. Harry Potter's completely banned because it's too real, and they won't have this. Don't do. There's more than enough for everybody. You don't have to get into dark magic or into white magic, into neither magic. Just enjoy the life. Go to church, celebrate, do your prayers, worship your God, worship knowledge, enjoy the music, love your wife, love your family. Don't drink. It's better not to drink and get inebriated. Alcohol is really frowned on. By all of the African cultures, they do brew beer. This was part of the reason for me why Zimbabwe crashed so hard, because they refused to sell tobacco, to grow tobacco for the white man, because it was not a good thing. Not in those quantities. It was a sacred herb. And they wouldn't do alcohol. They also don't do alcohol. Very little alcohol. They do brew their own beer, but it's it's made from, it's like a soury thing. They like sour stuff, and it's very mild. And they do, and it's got a completely different vibe to it. But it's not about the white man's fire liquor, which we know they destroyed. Oh, yeah. In I'm sure the movie too. There was that thing, what was it, with that Salman Rushdie, and they had that big, because he spoke about magical secrets in his book. What was it? And there was this big, even if you had the book, you had to be careful. I can't remember. I know I wanted to get it out the library. We had it, and then the next time I went, it wasn't in the library. I can't remember what it was, but they had a big, there's been enough corruption, and there was a thing way back, it wasn't that long, because I was digging, and it's so difficult. Now the stuff is coming out, and it's beautiful because it's coming out in a full form, not just bits and pieces over here scattered across the 52 countries, 53 countries of Africa. So, the only things that people knew were the wonders of Egypt, and that how civilized South Africa was. And the rest, as far as we were concerned, was a mess. Really sad. What was I going to say? I can't remember. Yeah. I mean, I would also always, even now when I knew stuff, I would still joke and say, because people come to Africa and they see, to South Africa, and they see on every trash can in town, graffitied all over with stickers all over, thousands. Do you need a spell for a man? Do you need a spell for this? Do you need a spell for a bigger penis? Do you need a spell for bigger hips for childbirth? Do you want, and it's but this is crazy. Yeah, no, but it's right. This gets sadder, honey. So this is why we need to do that Opopopopono prayer, and we can't just sweep it under the carpet. We don't want to bring it out and be horrible about it and walk around, and we just hope that these people are amazingly forgiving, because they are very peaceful in general, not like we've been taught. The Muslims too, obviously you've got a few, but in general they are peaceful. The West is just concentrated on the negative aspects of it. Yeah. And, when you sometimes think of, when you know a little more about the story, and that's about the oil and, Shell. That Shell is Dutch, and British Petroleum, BP. I don't know if you have BP in America, but I think you have Shell. They took the oil, Anyway, so you can then maybe understand why they had some kind of resistance. But those days are over and we don't really want to go there. You know, we fought those battles hugely on the etheric way. Um, it's still going on and we're just plugging up when we have to and when we can for those that are doing that. And we just want to just pour lots and lots. Well, it's so insanely sad. And the thing is that it affects each and every one of us right now because, as I've said a few times, this is not where we should be way ahead of this. You know, with our technology, with going to space. I mean, why the space block? Because the space people are, whatever you want to call them, you know what I mean. The space people, they never stopped coming, and they are like with everything. They are guys that are really great and guys that are not so great. Yeah. And the West continued, America and Germany for sure. They don't like to talk. We'll dig around in Germany here. But America, there's so much that's coming out with the space programs. Don't get too deep into that unless you're really called to do it because you're wasting your light and wasting your energy. You'll be pension. But they have made so many agreements for technology and higher technology, which they have sadly used for nefarious purposes. And I mean, there's it's too much. It's too because it was in South Africa too. There's a wonderful guy called Credo Mutwa, and he was abducted. He's got very, very interesting stories. I have a lot of respect for Credo Mutwa, but he's unfortunately passed. So he's no longer a voice. He was about to own the last voice that we had in South Africa, the last real voice. It's like really sad. So they wanted to really destroy it. So yeah, but they made arrangements so that they could be. Oh, we don't want to go there. Let's not even go there. Even Zimbabwe was flourishing in the 11th to the 15th century, not before CE now, in the Common Era, with gold, copper, ivory. And there in Zimbabwe, they found like Chinese ceramics. That's like me finding like seashells on the Alps. So it's time to like stop belittling these people. Zambia, copper, ivory, iron. And these guys were making pots and statues with methods that Europe hadn't even discovered yet. So I don't know why did Europe not listen? Why were they the blinking Romans, the Greeks and the Romans? For me, then when I look at it, the Greek was supposed to be a beautiful. I didn't really have to, it's a bit of a sad story actually. My son got like really upset about what was happening because we were really like, I stood hard, hey, but we were bombarded on every side by so much. And we'd come to Germany. We lived in Germany before, and I was really sharing, and it's like, I still talk. That's why I still live half in Africa, and I fly there in my space. But we were so bombarded. I was like, I don't want to like read my family, but what's left of my family, not the black people, the white people, didn't like that I was helping the black people. And unfortunately, the white people take over the black people's magic, and especially from the church. So they use it and they don't use it very nicely at all. and my sis, there's a lot of like really, so I don't really want to go there. So in a way, I kind of left that the local people really didn't want me to go. It's okay. Um, but the white people, I spent like going to court, which was like, and then they wouldn't pitch up. And there's just so much corruption that I unearthed still now. Um, I will see. I don't know if I'll go back because I started a trust fund for it wouldn't like it was just for like people that wanted, people on the street, like not like homeless, but people that wanted to just start a little like sidewalk cafe business, or for kids that needed extra money to buy pens at school because they couldn't afford a second pen. So South Africa's like, anyway, we'll get there. It's just like it's not the big investment we need. It's just the little bits of heart, to. I'm going to cry, so let's not go down there. Yeah, so it came. So we came here, and it was. I don't like to say things like that, but it is more. I didn't, and I see that I was really. This is like what the 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 negative elementals, the opposite force, really didn't want me doing what I was doing. So I've really like lost so much, and then some. And it's okay. I'm still standing. So I'm still pouring my light. So yeah. So we just like keep unearthing stuff from here. And it's very so I also just think that I'm here to be where I'm in the space, to pour this energy into Germany and onto Germany. I'm not the only one, obviously. There are a few people here, but I also work hugely with CERN and pouring just love. What else can I do? Yeah, fly out my body and go and smack them. It's okay. No, it's just thank you. It's fun. And the tears are good, yeah. And I have a lot of guides and helpers around me. It's been very hard. I've had to take on so much, which I don't, which didn't have to be. And so is my son, yeah. Um, it's like, I think the disbelief that this can't be happening. This can't be. But hey, it is what it is. So in between that, to actually love, yeah, and to just pour out love. And then Germany was like really, really difficult for me because my son was hugely abused when we were here. So I had to have all of that in my face. Whereas before I'd like really forgiven everything. So I'm not from this planet. I think I might have just popped in once. So it's very complicated for me. I don't understand a lot of stuff. So anyway, and then of course we had the South Africans, and that was interesting. They were called the Mapungubwe, and they had gold and obviously many beautiful crystals and gems. And that they said was quite the interesting one. They are the first culture in Africa. They put themselves on top of the king, on top of a hilltop, and the people at the bottom. Yeah, I've got a beautiful picture here. Maybe I'll take it out one day. So, but yeah, so all the way up and down the Nile, up and down, all the way to Egypt, all the way through across the Mediterranean, onto ships from West Africa, onto ships they would, and from East Africa, they would sail off to India and to China, or they would go over the Silk Road with camels, and they would trade incredible silks and ceramics and knowledge. And then there was the Zanzibar and spices, obviously, the Zanzibar spice trade. And there's a language, there's two languages, you know, like you have Pidgin, Mandarin, Pidgin Chinese, which is like a mixture of all sorts of like those Eastern Asian languages and English. So pretty much everybody can understand it. It's not that you understand every word, but you understand enough to get by. So they had Swahili. So that's like a mixture of all sorts of all the different languages. Because like I know in Nigeria, I think they've got 260 different languages. I'm not talking dialects, I'm talking language that they don't understand each other. I mean, Nigeria is big. It's one of the biggest like oil producing countries in the world, which I'm sure nobody knew. Which we don't want to like have Shell or BP. You know, it's enough. It's just enough. I mean, what's happening in whatever we said, I can't even say it. Kobelo Fasa, that wonderful guy, he's just amazing and he's so eloquent. And he's just taken his country back. Like they needed roads and they got some quotes from roads to be built by the West, and that would just put them in debt again. He chased the French out because the French want to be paid. So it's very complicated. The French make, you know, everybody makes money from Africa. And he said, no, bugger that, stuff this. We're going to build the roads ourselves. So he invested money into machinery and they built the roads. He's done this like very similar to this old stuff. He's like educating and offering a lot of good farming schemes where he's virtually giving land away to younger people so that there isn't this drain away from agriculture and not everybody wants to go into the cities or to go to Europe to learn. Yeah, so they're bringing it over to Africa. So he's offering, he gives courses, not him particularly, but he's brought in experts and people from all over Europe are going and teaching, which is really awesome. So there's a lot of wonderful stuff like this happening all over Africa. I've been watching it for quite a while, but now it's time we need to talk about it because we need the Ho'oponopono. I just want to cry whenever I say that because it's so sad what we did. I don't want to go on too long because I have to go just now. Because I have to go and do my thing. So, yeah, Ethiopians adopted Christian. That's very interesting. You see them, and they are just so beautiful. If you've ever been to or seen a Nigerian wedding, or you know, they never lost us. We would always just kind of smile at South Africa because we were all brainwashed, and we'd say they live in these tin shanties and they walk out like $1 million. Yeah, and they know quality. That's in South Africa. So, do we want to do this very quickly? So, what happened? You're nearly there. Let's do this very quickly because we don't want to stay here too long. So, the biggest thing, thank God, which Africa had was also the oral traditions. So, a lot was, which are what we would call the bards, you know, and the ancestors, which we've been taught Africa's got bad ancestor worship, but it's fine if you're Celtic, you can deal with the ancestors there. So the oral traditions were all pretty much poetry, song, and parables, okay, and passed down generation to generation, but also in select languages, yeah. the Dogon, the priest, they speak a specific dialect, but just within themselves, so nobody else can really understand it. And but we'll talk more about it, because I have some African friends from various places, and it's always the best to actually talk to them. Yeah, I had like my Kenny group and my Nigerian, and yeah, obviously the drums, which was a whole language, yeah, and their masks, which were putting on a mask, and if you see the negative, those they're mimicking this, and that's not nice. The Dogons was different, okay. Okay, so what obviously changed then was this, and why did it change? Was they needed to cover up the Atlantic slave trade. Now, there were always slaves, yeah? People always had slaves. Slaves are in the Bible, and it was mainly sometimes from war, raiding, but that was more, we leave that to the Norse people, the red-headed devils run amok. But that's another story. Okay. Or debt. People had debt, so they would go into servitude for so long. And the Bible says actually a lot about slaves and when to set them free and how to treat them, etc., etc. And there were always some slaves for sale, but it was nothing. It's like you buy a vacuum cleaner. Sorry. But nothing like the Atlantic slave trade. Okay. These poor guys did not know what was going to happen, because they were so trusting and so open, because they had this beautiful trade. And along came first the Portuguese came to Angola, and they saw this beautiful stuff. There are reports. You've got to just dig them in Europe, and I'm going to have to go very quickly through this. And then, of course, there was the demand. It started mainly with sugar, and then obviously chocolate and coffee. So I say, if you've eaten any, or you've had any of those, your hands are tainted. Yeah. And sugar's a very interesting thing. We'll go on another time about sugar. But that was like the islands, and that was French. And they needed laborers, because the white people, they discovered the stuff, and the demand, obviously when there's demand, you want to give it to the people. And so they would buy a few slaves. And then they realized that they could actually get more slaves. So you had even the local people became slave traders, but not that much. What happened hugely then was that Europe got better at navigation, the Portuguese and the Dutch, obviously, and they wanted the slave. That was the route. It was just they didn't want to have a slave trade. They just wanted a route there. And the fire sticks, obviously, when they came with their cannons, because they had no idea with these cannons and guns. It wasn't in their culture. A little bit of warfare, yes, but nothing like this full-scale annihilation. And what started to happen was the Europeans would come, and they would actually they would bypass the traders, and they would just go to the villages, and they would just annihilate the villages and capture and steal and take them onto the ships. So, the ships were dreadful, with I think just the amount of people that died is over 1 million people that died on the ships in the slave trade. I'll give you the numbers. It's a very, very sad, horrible, horrible story. And it's kind of there. So it just, And obviously then they agreed, and something horrible comes into the Western culture, the Portuguese, and then came the French, and then we had the Germans. I have to say, part of my family, Mr. Otto von Bismarck, after the Treaty of Versailles, he was trying to unify Germany. And obviously, you had the British in the 1600s and 1700s that were just like greedy, greedy. They wanted the whole world to be red. Yeah, sorry, it's so difficult to do this without wanting to get into the Chinese story as well. But it's it's wild. But we need to just like know this because it's not being taught. We don't need to dwell on it, and we need to say, fuck, what the fuck happened? We're sorry, we really are. We didn't know. We really didn't know. Don't get into guilt. Do the hopopono, and just be conscious of it. And just like, because it's going to rise. So if we don't know, we're going to we still think. So what they did, they changed the maps. The maps that were, when was the last map? Original map. I can't find it here now. But then they rewrote the maps. So as I say, they raided villages, they pillaged, they had rival kingdoms, they destabilized the whole political thing, telling stories about this one. And I mean, as I say, I've done so much. The study that I've done now, this is just tying it all together. Shame, man. What was it? Was it for cocoa beans? So they would get the villagers. Where was that? Was that in the Congo? And then you have the little pygmies. You've seen like, and he was stationed in Africa, Roald Dahl. So, a lot of this they were myths and legends, because this is what the European culture just tried to stamp it all out and to destabilize and take away their whole culture. So, it's stories. And they just portrayed Africa as black, black, black and dark, dark, and there was nothing there. And, people aren't going off to Africa. And, obviously there's a lot of like open land as well still. But that whole trade area, they just annihilated. And shame. That's what they would do. They would get, what was it? Was it for coke, for palm? Well, there was palm oil, which is palm olive, that they used in cosmetics. Obviously shea butter. Cocoa beans. Cocoa beans were a big sad one. And like the stronger tribes, they would because they're always they're not weaker tribes, they're just more natural tribes. So they would get the little pygmies to go and to go and collect their stuff. So we're not going to go into because my time is finished. And thank you, universe, that I'm not going into the horrible, horrible things, but I've no doubt that we will cover them. So we've just tipped the iceberg here and just opened up the can of cannery stuff as to why, because they needed to cover up their story, because you can't be taking these amazing people, and that's, they took the royalty from the villagers that became the slaves. And don't forget that 2/3 of the slaves went to South America. So the amount of slaves that you have in North America was very minimal. So for now, I'm loving and leaving us, and just sparkle. Just put your feet on the ground and do the Ho'oponopono for yourself. Do it for whatever prayer you want to just say. If you need to know, just say, God, I'm sorry. I didn't know this is kind of starting to make sense for us. Forgive us. You know, Jesus did say a beautiful prayer, whichever one you want to say. Because for me, at the bottom, end of the line is if we all believe, which everybody does, every culture believes in the one big heart, true God, over and above all the Indian gods and all the other gods. If we all believe, that's what we believe in the one, even, you know, the Muslims, everybody, we all, the Christians, we all believe in the one heart, true God. So doesn't that mean that we all actually believe in the same God? So we're all equal on that level, and we're all just striving for a little sweetness for our families. So the biggest thing that we can do right now is just amplify and amplify our love and bring in more and more light, and there's light everywhere. It's not just from there, it's from the trees, it's from the waters, it's from your animals, it's from music, it's from a beautiful painting will emanate a beautiful energy, which is light. So just saturate yourselves with light and breathe it in and breathe it out and breathe it in as much as you can. And emphasize your hands, activate your, I have crystals in my hands. You can touch that and just amplify and just empower Mother Earth. Just pour it into the trees. When you walk, just emanate it. And the universe will start to show you. I had a few pink clouds again today when I went on my walk, and I thought, okay, thank you. And I didn't do that too much today because I was babysitting, which was really sweet. Not bad, not a baby, little boys, 2 little boys. And that was really cute. So I love, 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 love you. Catch the wave. We're doing huge meditations, all of us. However you put in your energy across. So as I said, don't waste too much time going down the shitty holes. I just want to let people know, and it will be out there and people will hear it, and I know that the energy that I portray it with will be, okay, we're really sorry. So we don't want to get into shit over this. There's enough crap. So, Scotty, my lovely. Oh, beautiful Scotty. And I have to go. Oh, Scotty, 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 Scotty. Love, 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 love you, my darling. Oh, Scotty, I'm just going to cry just because I can. Oh, and I need to go. So I'm going to go and meditate for 2 hours now, because it's like really important to open up this energy right now. But I love you so much, Scotty. I love you all so much. I love you, Heaney. I love you, Christine. With PG, I love him so much. Oh, we're all just so lucky. None of us know what's going on, guys. The energies are all just so different. So we just like doing what we're doing. Oh, Scotty, love you, love you, love you. Thank you for popping in. Thank you so much for popping in and saying hello. You've obviously heard me. You know, a while ago, a few weeks ago, I had a birthing dream. I shared it with PG, and he wasn't there. I said, I don't know who the baby daddy is, but you were there, Scotty was there, and I can't remember some woman there. Anyway. Last night I was pushed through golden gates. Anyway, so I'm pouring whatever energy I'm getting. I'm pouring. Sending us all love. Yeah, extra. So we'll see you at Victor's. No, I won't see you. I'll be meditating. So love you lots, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow at Victor. So just, Scotty, you're so needed, you know, just pour out so much love on the planet right now. Okay, I must go. I'm going to really miss my meditation. No, she's still singing a song right now, which is fine. So I love you all, and just, Oh, it's just such a beautiful, it's just, sorry, these are tears of happiness. Love to you all, beautiful ones. I hope you feel it. I hope just open to get it from wherever. And what I said, that's so huge, that there is just so much light everywhere that we can just absorb this light. And yeah, yeah, yeah. It's another level, guys. It's such another level. Okay, let me go before it starts raining around the world. We don't want any monsoons out of season. Okay, we will be live tomorrow with PG, so we'll see you tomorrow. And I'm sure he'll have coffee. Coffee and what he's doing so much interesting. So I love PG. Love, 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 love you all, beautiful ones. And yeah, just be love, be the light. Thank you, everybody. Heaney, Christine, Scotty, Victor, Grace, who's always here. I know. Love you all.